You have entered the Chronic's rabbit hole. And Carol, thank you so much for your Patreon membership request. You are bringing an interview down the rabbit hole for us from Face Culture. Thank you so much for this. And this interview is for the Nightwish's Human Nature promo tour. This is from 2020, and this is Tuomas Holopainen himself.
Thank you so much, Carol. I'm so excited to get into this when you let us know that this is the most in-depth interview that Tuomas has ever given. I forgot my words. Thank you so much, Carol, for bringing this Tuomas Holopainen interview down the rabbit hole. I'm so excited to get into this one. I do have to make a quick correction, though. I definitely said this was the most in-depth interview he was given. You let us know that it was the most informative interview that he has ever given. So I'm really excited to see what Tuomas and Face Culture have to say today about the Human Nature album back in 2020. If you guys are as excited to be here as we are, remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more Enter the Chronicness.
Thank you so much, Carol, for this request, because we love doing interviews with all the artists that we love, specifically for Nightwish, and definitely for Tuomas, because one day we would love to interview him himself, so we get to see what questions he likes and what he doesn't like. And without further ado, let's check and see what Face Culture does.
Yes.
Hi, Tuomas.
Hello.
How are you?
Pretty good, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks. Thank you for taking...
Also, we finally have finished Human Nature all the way through from
Yes.
start to finish, so it's nice that we're getting these interviews after, and it's nice to have a full album that we actually can listen to.
It is so nice. I actually showed my mom the Human Nature album,
Yeah.
start
She
to
loved it.
finish, and she loved it.
All right.
Hi, Tuomas.
Hello.
How are you?
Pretty good, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks. Thank you for taking the time again.
Of course, that's why we're here.
Fair enough. So where I want to start with is, we kind of discussed a little bit the last time we spoke that you struggled with writing early on, and then Audi came in and that kind of opened the floodgate.
Something weird happened, yeah.
But kind of behind all of that, what is it like? As you are the primary songwriter, this might be an assumption of mine, but you seem like someone who puts a lot of pressure on himself. So what is that kind of period where the band doesn't know what you come up with yet, but you have some ideas, and what is that like for you?
It's not so much pressure, it's just like expectations and excitement for the new adventure to come.
Right.
Yeah, and this time the songs, when they start to come, they came really, really easily.
Okay.
It took a long time to get them together. I was in the middle of the songwriting process for more than a year. But when they came, like you said, all floodgates opened and it was just a lovely, lovely ride. And then when I got the songs done by the end of April last year, 2019, I did a keyboard demo and then sent it to all the other band members, and that's the most horrible moment in this whole process.
Okay.
To hear your bandmates' first reaction to the demo, because how heartbreaking would it be if they didn't like it at all?
Right.
Because we are married to these songs for the next year and a half at least. So I really wanted them to get the similar kick out of the songs as I had gotten from them when I was doing that. And luckily, they all did.
Okay.
At least they said.
Well, because will you change the song if you kind of feel that?
It's like, at least because he has that correct humor, and it's really cool to know what the most like anticipating moment for him is, and who, for me, that's who he respects the most for, because he's doing this music with a band, obviously, that he loves and has grown up with, and obviously he loves his fans and all, but he's most nervous for it to get to his bandmates first.
Yeah, because that's also the first person that you're sharing your creative idea with.
Yeah.
And those are the people who are going to perform your creative idea.
And you're married to it.
And you're
right?
married to it, like he said.
Yeah.
So, like, I was always thinking, like, oh, it would be so crazy being on stage, but, like, it's actually the scariest part is the intimate moments.
Yeah, because like we saw with Epica, they were most nervous once critics first checked it out, because they all kind of made that stuff together. And then for him with Nightwish specifically, he's doing most of that and makes the demo. So it's just crazy to see what he is struggling with and who his first critic is.
That's so cool to see.
Yeah.
That click isn't there, in a sense?
I use a lot of time to make the songs as perfect as possible so that I get a kick out of them myself. I even use a dictaphone, like a really bad quality dictaphone that I do the songs to, and then when I go outside to have a smoke, I listen to them through the dictaphone. And if I get a good feeling from the melodies and the songs through that little device, then I know that there's potential in this.
That's a good way to see it.
Yeah, just a couple of days after the
so
band
smart.
heard the demos, I got some really lovely.
If you can enjoy it in 480p, then if it's in 4K, you're gonna love it.
Absolutely.
Raving responses, and I was so relieved. There was a couple of things, like I remember Troy sending me an SMS that it's all brilliant, I love it, but this one song that's really good, but what on earth were you thinking about the arrangement? How much seawater have you been drinking with this arrangement? And I was just laughing and then listening to it, and yeah, he's right. You need to change
A lot of
this.
seawater.
And that kind of conversation,
Know
and
you're an ocean
I suppose
soul,
because
but
on
don't
the
drink
previous
the
album
ocean.
and the songs were beautiful, you kind of
You're
had
not a
those
fish.
thematic discussions with the band as well, talking about kind of
Yeah, this time as
nature.
well.
Okay.
Yeah, the same thing. I think Human Nature is a very logical sequel to the
Right.
previous album. Actually, if you take the previous album and attach the beginning of this album to the ending of that, it goes beautifully from The Greatest on
So
Earth to
cool.
music.
Oh, shit.
So
I gotta hear
thematically,
that.
we're sailing in the same waters. The first 9 songs of the album being the human part of the album, and then the last song being the nature part. The first 9 songs is
Nature
all
was
about
amazing.
stories about humanity, human beings, human nature, sang by a human voice, or 3. And after that, you put on the second disc and go to nature and relax for 30 minutes with an instrumental orchestral piece.
Sure. Well, let's start with the second part, the instrumental.
So I just have to say, the very first time we reacted to a Human Nature song, I called it Human to Nature, and
Yes.
got eaten apart in the comments. I'm just gonna tell all of you right now, the album goes Human to Nature on the second disc, so I wasn't wrong.
Oh my god. And yeah, we just did Nature, and Nature was such an amazing experience. And
Oh man, I loved Nature
Like,
so
yeah, I
much.
want to check that out again. This is great. And I'm loving his vibe. Like, you can tell their connection with this interviewer is really good. Tuomas and him are flowing. He feels like, it looks like his walls are completely down, and there's going to be a lot of good nuggets in this one.
Piece, because when you do the kind of this, because I read that this was the plan, that you wanted kind of this big instrumental piece. So did it feel like a risk in a way doing something like that? Because obviously you've had long songs and a lot of instrumental, but kind of devoting an entire kind of side of a CD to it, or a CD to it.
You just get the sensation of what you need to do. I can't really explain it,
Right.
but from the beginning it was obvious that this album would include our Nightwish's love letter to planet Earth, and it needs to be instrumental orchestral music. I can't explain it any better, but it just needed to be there. And then when I introduced the idea to
Makes
the
sense.
other members of the band, they were like, yeah, sure, this is great. And even though almost nobody from the band plays in that song, Troy has a couple of Ilian pipe parts, Floor does a bit of singing, I do some piano, it still sounds like Nightwish.
Sure.
Yeah, it
some
sure
reason.
does.
Almost to me, at least, it talks about the cosmic perspective. Almost, kind of the idea that, we're just. I think it's even said that we're a speck of dust, speck of dust suspended in air, kind of Earth. So,
Well, we are.
well, that's the thing. So when you take this kind of step back view, for you, what is human nature in the sense, or what are human beings in the big picture for you?
We're just one species of animals roaming on this mote of dust suspended in sunbeam. that's the big message of
Just
the album.
crazy.
And that message is a very optimistic one too. I've heard some commentary from people who have heard the album saying that you have done a really dark album and it's like human versus nature and humankind is destroying the planet,
it's not.
and is this what you want to say with this album? And at least to me personally, it's the complete opposite. It praises the beauty of humankind and the potential that we have for goodness. Just imagine there are 7.8 billion people on this planet, something like that, and the vast majority of those people are really nice people.
It's very true.
It's
Just
only
a few rotten
it's a
apples making a
couple.
lot of noise.
No, but that's
Yeah.
I find that very interesting because usually when
That's the scary thing with like all these groups or sometimes terrorists or whatever type of group you want to call it, but like it's a small collection of people that can create so much noise that then influences so much other people, at least in the thoughts and rumors.
Yeah.
But then if you go meet everyone in real life, everyone's so chill, you're like, where's all these people that suck?
Well, that's like why, like, even being on the internet, why there's like that saying or that comment of being perpetually online, because when you're online, you're seeing the small group that is so
That's
loud
just like using the
in an
blowhorn.
echo chamber using like the blowhorn.
Yeah.
So like whatever you're seeing online, no matter what it is about, is so accentuated. But if you just get off the internet and go outside and go talk to someone at the grocery store,
Yeah.
people, like what Tuomas is saying, are generally really nice.
Yeah.
They're
I
generally
100% agree.
and so that's, I think, where a lot of the times, even myself, but I think a lot of us get caught up is what are we seeing through media,
Yeah.
no matter what the format of it is that really what's happening in the world? Or if we just walk outside, what's actually happening in the world?
Yeah, I love how he thinks, and he's so confident as well, and that's really attractive about him
It
too,
is.
right?
I just have to say, I love his description that he uses about us being just animals on a speck of dust suspended in a sunbeam.
Yeah.
Because he's also super Disney, and that's really Horton Hears a Who, like
Yeah, it's
where
very
it's like
poetic.
a speck of dust is very poetic.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Love it.
Yeah, he's the best.
He is.
people feel
And
very
his hat.
insignificant once when you take that kind of big perspective. But in a sense, and I agree with you, that it's more liberating almost in a way, because it says we're all part of the same experiment. We're all part of the same kind of process. Of
Exactly.
human-
Yeah.
Exactly like that, and truly understanding our place in the universe, understanding evolution, how we came to be, that's makes you so humble and grateful, and realizing how we are part of everything. And for me, that's a comforting thought. For many people, it might be a frightening thought.
Yeah.
Maybe especially if you are brought up religiously, for example.
Right.
But for me, that realization made all the difference. I've never been happier.
And I suppose
You can see
you
it.
had this realization quite early on, because
freedom.
you've always been interested in biology and nature and that kind of stuff. But is it kind of the way you grew up that you have this connection to nature, or do you kind of know where it comes from?
Yeah, I've lived all my life in the countryside, by the woods, by the lakes, so I think that's where it comes from, this connection to nature. But
place
I
is
also
so
think that if you're not interested about science, nature, mysteries of the universe at all, there's something wrong with you. Because
Fair enough.
what a fascinating thing this is,
Yeah.
everything that's happening.
And then,
Everywhere.
well, thematically, as we go from nature, because we as humans come from nature, but we also make stuff, so then you have kind of the human nature. So that element, and like you say, it isn't like pointing a finger and saying you shouldn't do this or you should behave like this, but what is it about our human behavior that is it the psychology of it? What is that interests you?
Just we are such an interesting species. I think
Good
it was
For him.
Carl Sagan who said it the best. Let's see if I get this right. Human species is the universe's attempt to make sense of itself.
Well, there you go.
Don't quote me on that, but I think you get the idea, you get the drift.
Sure.
And I think that's
the word becoming flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so beautifully said.
I mean, yeah, that is so beautifully said, and that's why a lot of people don't realize, like, the philosophers are saying what the religious are saying, because that is what he just said there. It's the universe's attempt to understand itself, and that's why John says, like, in the beginning the word was God and was with God and became flesh and dwelt among us and taught us how to live.
Because that was human nature being taught how to live, just what Tuomas is saying.
Yeah, just in the philosophical thought of it, not like all the extra stuff, but it's still a philosophical thought of that. So that's really cool. And he's someone that embodies that as well and shows us how to live, right?
He does embody that because he doesn't just say it, he works in his action. And so he lives correctly while speaking correctly on how to live.
Yeah, he's on the narrow path, that's for sure.
And this might be a bit vague, but what role in this kind of human development does music play for you in terms, because there's mention of the symphony of music, nature, and that
music, art in itself.
Sure.
We are the only species who's actually doing art, and what a wonderful thing it is that there's a thing called imagination. And actually track number 5, Pan, is all about human imagination and the power and the potential of it. Again, Carl Sagan, imagination often takes us to places that never were, but without it, we go nowhere.
And I mean, in terms of imagination and songwriting, you have to delve into your own imagination and kind of figure out what you want. So for you, what is that process like then? Is that something you can just tap into every once in a while, that kind of stream of inspiration, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, you need to be on the mood. That's why we took the year off after the previous album, because you can't force creativity. At least I can't.
Right.
And I felt like there's nothing in me now, so we need to take a breather. Otherwise, we would end up creating crap. But once you get into the immersion...
Well, yeah, imagine after making, like, the greatest show on earth, you're like, yeah, I need a year off.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's okay, no worries.
You get on the flow, like I did doing the songs for this album. It's the place that I feel most at home.
Okay.
It's a lonely place, but it's a wonderful place for a while. And it's just the ultimate feeling of content and excitement. Writing those songs, creating audio out of nowhere that kind of makes sense and makes yourself and people feel something.
But it like you say, lonely, so it is, especially early on, a very solitary process for you.
Yeah, the songwriting process. Yeah. Once you then meet with your bandmates and start dressing the child, so to say, then it becomes a collective experience.
Sure.
But the songwriting process is a lonely one, and just the way I like it.
And in terms of, well, one part about songwriting is also, as a band, you've made quite some music over the years. So as a band, you want to keep your Nightwish identity, but you also want to progress, and you also want to try out new things. So how do you
that's
balance
vital.
that?
That's really vital, but it comes really naturally. I don't really have to think about it too much in advance. None of us do. It's like you have your certain mannerisms. As a songwriter, you are always quintessential Nightwish when you put on the albums or the songs, but there's always something new that is exciting, even shocking for some people, and that's the way to keep the process interesting to yourself and to the other band members. You have to challenge them a little bit. For example, on Human Nature, the vocal acrobatics are just insane here and there, and Floor really loved the challenge. And boy, what job she did.
Because, well,
which is so cool, because y'all been letting us know, Nightwish Army, that this is almost going to be like a trilogy for the albums.
Yeah.
And the last one here is supposed to be a heavier one, and I can't wait to see exactly how he's going to stretch everyone on this one coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, eh?
I just talked to her, and we kind of mentioned this kind of the fast pace and then the up and down melodies, and then so when you write these, do you kind of in your mind go, okay, I'm going to try and challenge her here, or how does that?
Yeah, I hear her voice all the time,
Okay.
but all those melodies, all those things are there for a reason. They have to complement the lyrics and the story, and the reason that the vocal melody in music verses is what it is there for a reason. And once you get the lyrics, you might catch up with that reason.
And as you mentioned earlier, there's not one singer on the album this time, it's three. So did you have a similar thing of trying to
Troy's getting so good at
challenge Troy in a sense, in an aspect that he hasn't really shown with Nightwish?
Challenge everybody. I mean, in the track Harvest, for example, there are some Ilian pipelines that are insanely difficult to play, but he nailed it. But yeah, it's an album for singers.
Yeah, it is.
And
Marco too.
we really wanted to take everything out of the three wonderful vocalists that we have and just stuff the songs with harmonies, and that's what you hear.
And a song like Harvest then, because Harvest seems to fit Troy really well. I don't know if that makes sense, but...
Well, it was tailor-made for him to
does.
sing, exactly like Endlessness was tailor-made for Marco.
Okay.
Oh my God,
So same
was it
thing.
ever.
But it has a strong Irish vibe in it. You are in the moors, you have the folk part, Khalid in the middle, so it was just a natural thing to keep it for Troy to sing.
Okay. So, in that sense, how much planning in a sense goes in before you even write music? Do you plan a lot, or do you kind of figure it out as you go?
I'm a strong believer in flow of mind, but before that flow of mind, I need to know what the song is about. I need a theme, a story.
Good,
Like,
good.
I need to do a song about music landing on top of mankind. So, okay, this song is about music. How do I do that? It's never like I start to jam. Oh, this sounds good. What could this melody be about?
Which some
Always the other way around.
Okay. And so was there one, well, for instance, one of the tracks that stood out for me was Tribal. So
Yeah,
a song like that, where do you start? Because you say certain things are tailor-made for people. You have a new drummer in Kai this time around, and there's a lot of space to drum on that track. So was that kind of with him in mind as well, and then that kind of stuff?
Well, when the idea of doing a song about tribalism, about cults, about why we want to so desperately belong to a certain tribe,
Yeah.
and then stop thinking, you know, I'm part of this
Yes.
club, nothing will change my
I
mind.
like what he said.
And I thought, okay, this is the
Yes.
theme, how do we execute this?
Take it from a man who went a little too far with a group
Yeah.
that some considered was a cult. And that is something that comes out of it that I never really thought of until Tuomas just said it that way so precisely. Because, yeah, eventually you can go autopilot in that cult, even though you're living. But because it's an edict of how to live by the cult leader, you just kind of follow and go.
And that happens with so many different groups, like whether it's a cult, whether it's religious, whether it's socio economic, whatever the group may be it political even.
Yeah.
People tend to join a lot of these groups because they find it their own echo chamber, that like-minded
They
system.
tell you how to act.
And then you go brain dead within it, or you stop thinking.
Yeah, even when I was like super into watching Miami Heat, like hella even more than you know me, it just that's all your life becomes, and you just become the cult of Miami Heat lover.
It's like, we're going to talk about sports, and Chronic's like, basketball, Miami Heat,
Yeah.
that's it.
That's it. That's
That's it.
all I think about.
It's like the stoners that make it their entire personality.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's so smart.
He is very intelligent.
So then we thought that how would a band sound like 20,000 years ago if you gave them modern technology? And naturally it would be very percussive, very primitive, very tribal, really heavy, dissonant. And yeah, that's how the song ended up being.
But was it for you as well kind of a nice way to introduce Kaya? Or
It just came naturally, I guess, but it's, yeah, Kaitsu really shines, and he was given all the liberty in the world to create those tribal patterns for the song, and he did them brilliantly, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. You also mentioned in the kind of lead up to this album that you wanted to use the orchestras in a different manner, and now obviously the orchestras are very prominent in the second part of the. So what was your kind of approach when kind of composing these songs?
Contrast, that was the big idea, so that the human part of the album would only have live strings and choir. We can't leave those out. They're too much Nightwish, but we left the whole orchestra out for the whole first part of the album, and then went full on for the orchestral piece.
Yeah,
and it just creates a nice contrast, and also leaving the orchestra out gives more space to human voices playing their instruments, singing their thing.
Well, in terms of music, what is the role, I suppose, of well, we talked about it a little bit, but the role of music in terms of our species. You kind of said we are the only ones who are creative. We are the only ones who
It's a
kind
liberal
of.
It's something different for everybody, I guess.
Like it's literally a sacred science.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, music can be comforting, can be even informative. It can be our way to communicate with the world.
Yes.
It can be a way to release your inner demons, get rid of them.
Right.
All these things that I mentioned, work
well,
with me. It can be done for pure entertainment, to dance about, nothing else, nothing wrong with that.
With all those elements, because well, certain tracks, from your past, I can guess kind of where they would fall in those categories. But are they all still there for you? All those kind of, is it very cathartic?
Cathartic is the word. It really is the word. I honestly don't think I would function as a member of the human species if I weren't allowed to write music, write songs. Because sometimes the noise within and the pressure within is so massive that it needs to be let out. And the only way that I can fully let it out is to write a song, write an album, and then I feel more balanced again.
But I find that very interesting, because once an album is done, and then, like you say, you were in a very prolific period. You were writing well, and everything was going well. So when that part is kind of done, is that almost like a sad time for you, where the creativity flow of creativity stops in a way?
Yeah, it's a very melancholic time, and at that point you just need to fill your calendar and be busy, like doing a promotional trip.
Fair enough.
So it keeps your mind occupied.
Because are you already kind of thinking?
This guy is amazing.
Like being here at this promotional interview that I'm at to keep my mind busy. So like,
Thanks.
it's great. Look at his face. He's so cool.
He's the best. He would be our best friend. And what's just so cool for him is that he has Ari now when he's not performing with Nightwish, so that he has a way to still stay creative. And because it's Troy and his wife Johanna, they all participate in the creation of the music.
Yeah.
So like it's such a different feel for him.
It is a different feel, and like Ari is it's so different from what Nightwish is.
Yeah, and I can see the transition once Ari happened to what Human Nature became.
Absolutely, 100%.
All right.
I love this hat. It gives him the perfect shadow over his eyes. So he has like this sly little smirk. I love this.
This shot's amazing.
What is this? This is 1922.
1922, we'll remember.
About, I suppose, live show definitely, but
Mikael from Opeth wears that hat as well.
It's a good hat.
Thinking about more other ideas, or are you very, very well entrenched in this subject material right now?
I'm actually already thinking about something new. We're gonna do a new Ari album next year in 2021, so it's time to focus on that one after a while. At the moment it's all about promoting this album, getting the live show together, going on tour, but once things settle, get to their routine, something new.
Because is that one thing maybe you've learned from doing Auri and then Floor did her own thing, Marco is doing his thing.
They really complement each other.
Well, yeah, that
Yeah.
you kind of need those other creative outings to, like you kind of said, to get that energy.
Yeah, it helps. It did something for me a few years ago doing that Ari album, and I bet it does the same with the other band members.
Right.
Marco doing his solo, he just came from a tour, seems like a really content man at the moment, ready to go on with Nightwish. So these things matter, same with Floor, same with everybody.
Final question then. There's one song I wanted to get into a little bit more, which is kind of the
Noise.
well, the first is it first single, Noise?
Yeah.
That video. Usually I don't watch videos too much, but you made it. I think you conceded an effort to make a good video. So what was it about this song that you wanted to capture in a sense?
For years, I thought that we're not going to do another music video. I just kind of grew tired of them. But then it was Floor actually who convinced me that I think we should make. It's still a good tool, spreading
Sure is.
the album.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, darling, if you want, we can do one. But if we do one, it needs to be really high quality and such that you don't see the band members playing or singing. Because we've seen enough of that.
Yeah.
And then we came up with this concept of what the video is about. Noise was the perfect music for it. Right. And then just did our thing, and it's stunning stuff. It really is a beautiful video, and the message gets through pretty obviously, I think.
Well, yeah, that's one thing that when I heard the song, obviously, but when I saw the video, it kind of made more sense in a way. But that idea that, well, maybe this isn't the takeaway that you had for it, but kind of ignoring all the beauties in front of you because you're looking at this screen. That's kind of how I looked at it. But for you, what is this noise?
The noise is the constant noise that we get from everywhere all the time, and most of it is really noise, but there are some really beautiful stuff in between if you can listen, and there are beautiful facts in between all the gossip. You just need to learn how to pick them up, and that's what the song is about. It's not about bashing cell phones,
right?
But it's about how you have harnessed the use of technology, because technology is wonderful.
Of course.
Internet, smartphones, smart devices, everything. The potential is so massive for good. And then we use them to take selfies, and we live off likes, and we act differently in the digital world than we do in the normal life. There's such darkness hidden in it that we wanted to bring out through this video for people to think about. And one last thing, I think, for me at least, the video is actually quite optimistic. Many people have said that it's so dark, I can't watch it. But no, it's a bit tongue in the cheek, but it makes you think, and in the end you see this beautiful landscape, reminding people that the real world is still out there.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to access it if you just go out.
So in a way, kind of how we think technology is ruining everything, that's kind of over-exaggerated a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and I do have to blame the media a little bit for that, because they are spoon-feeding us bullshit all the time. Because they think that filth sells. But when's the last time you tried to approach people with positive, real news?
Yeah.
Hopefully in the future.
I hope so.
But part of the good news.
Tuomas, always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol, for this. And as you saw in the top two videos there, Floor and Troy, Carol, you have us covered, and that's coming down the rabbit hole as well. So very excited, because Face Culture has what seems like to have a really good chemistry with this band. And I remember watching the Ari interview as well with Face Culture, and how well that went too. So you could see like the Vine of amazing interviews that they've already done, and like they can kind of build off of that, and that's why it seems like such an organic conversation.
It does. It's so well done.
It's an amazing interview. It's one of the best ones I've seen, actually. So you're correct, Carol. This is one of the most informative ones ever.
It is. And like we got to see a lot of like who Tuomas is, like fully,
his real humor.
His real humor.
Yeah.
And he's funny.
Oh
He's
my
got
God, so witty.
He's so witty. It's almost like a dry humor kind of. Like
Yeah.
very
He's got the smirk and the
he's got
slyness.
the smirk, he's got the hat with his little shadow.
Looks like a little bandit.
Yeah. Like this was so well done. I really love what he was saying at the very end, like with that last song. I wanted to pause it, but you pointed out there's only a minute left in the video. I'm like, I can wait.
Yeah, I'm glad you remember. I would've
So
felt that.
when he was talking about, it's like this video noise is not about bashing cell phones, but like it is about the noise that's all around
All
us. And how he was then getting into like the media spoon feeding topics and things like that. And that's something that we had actually touched up on at the beginning of this interview, as
during
well
the
as
interview,
in a lot of Nightwish reactions that we've done, because
it gets brought up.
it gets brought up quite a bit, how there is so much noise going on all around us that we've just become accustomed to as humans living in our concrete jungles.
No kidding.
And we got talking one time about how my favorite sound is the sound of the power shutting off. When that in the
vacuum.
pure silence, that vacuum.
Yeah.
And that was like growing up, I lived in a place where we lost power all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. It sucked, but it was also amazing, because those were the moments where you heard that vacuum of
Yeah.
and then nothing. You could hear the crickets. You could hear the wind. You'd have to start a fire to be able to keep the house warm, because it's like 3 a.m.
Makes you feel more tribal.
You're more in that tribal moment, but
Yeah.
you're also just in that moment with each other.
Yeah.
And there's something that happens in that moment, if you've ever experienced it,
Oh yeah.
where that disconnect from everything that's around us, from all the noise,
You feel it.
it's like it lifts off of you.
Yeah.
So like that is such an amazing moment. And I love that he said that this is not about bashing technology.
Yeah, it's great.
It's not about bashing that noise, because there are these amazing facts you can pull out of it. There are these amazing, beautiful things you can hear in those moments.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to listen correctly.
Yeah, because I hate when it's like humans are cancer as well. And what he's saying is like, no, like we have the ability to create for the good. And that's what makes us so cool. We can do art. We have like all these crazy art that makes us have this civilization, and we know how to, actually act differently than an animal, but yet we're still an animal.
And we have the ability to be these caretakers of the planet correctly.
Yeah.
However, it's because of those few individuals, those small groups that make the most noise.
Yeah, it is.
Because of those bad apples, as he said, there's always a couple bad apples in the tree, but it's not everyone. Those are those moments where people start being like, oh my God, this album is so dark. It's like, no, it's not dark. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just go outside, look at the horizon, look at the beautiful scenery at the end of this music video. And
now everyone can be their own media, and like someone's random interpretation of a song can sometimes like go with the wave, and then the misinterpretation of that
becomes
what everyone thinks it was on the first time. But
absolutely. And so it's always good to hear it from like Tuomas himself, from the horse's mouth type to say about what the music is, what is going on, what this is about, because it's not about bashing. And that's the thing about Nightwish, is they're never about bashing. It's always about finding the beauty and moving forward and continuing growing and evolving together.
Absolutely. It's about evolving and doing it for the good, and I hope you guys had a good time with us. This was an amazing interview. I can't wait for the next one. Carol, thank you so much again for this request. If you guys are new to the channel though, and you want to be a part of the EntertheCronic family, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the way out, because we are shooting out of the rabbit hole now, folks.
Peace and love, everyone. Thank you so much, Carol, for bringing this interview down the rabbit hole, and the next two that you're going to be bringing, because this was so informative.
Yeah.
We got to really see Tuomas, and in a moment of like almost like a Zen moment where he's just, I'm here at this interview. I'm doing something to keep my mind busy. This is a good time. Great talking with you.
He wanted to be there.
Chill. He wanted to be there.
Yeah.
He was having fun, and I thought this was so well done. The chemistry between the interviewer and Tuomas, insanely good, and all the information that we got about this album, like this was back in 2020. We've heard the album now, so like this is some great background knowledge that would have been more pre-knowledge coming out. So I'm happy to be here with all of you. Thank you so much.
God bless y'all.
Take care, and bye for now.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Enter the Chronicness.
Special thanks to all of our YouTube, Patreon, and Buy Me a Coffee members. Thank you for all of your support.
Thank you all so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you had a good time and you are new to the channel and you don't want to miss the next one, here is a very easy way that you can make it to our next one by hitting the subscribe button. If you liked what you heard on this video and you want to support this artist, then an easy way to do that is going right here. And I think we have a really good video for you right here that we think you will enjoy. Thank you all so much. See you next time.